Kata pakalima. Mano kara fo kulunko. Police station mandi kasate o sate ndem boyta abere. Hani station kay mawi. That is deliberate. Abele no moy.
Ya, assalamu alaikum badimono namo be kontan wato nal kontan wala e anal badem mala Suleiman Cham na konkujan UDP political bureau YouTube channel momo be follow kan sen like ya subscribe ya share bi alhamdulillah na min shadare wala mon na right party leader right honorable Usainu Darboe na party leader United Democratic Party ala kuma kendo to ana ya maroto bankoe anen party en selame Usainu Darboe na.
Until this fallout over leadership of the UDP, a lot of people thought you were de facto leader of this country. That Adama Barrow was elected in 2016, yes. But Usainu Darboe, after he came out of prison, pardoned by Adama Barrow, literally ran this country. You could do anything and everything you wanted with government. And some say you did.
And that's absolutely false. And I say it here again, except at cabinet, where I participate in discussions and make my views known. I have never had any discussions with Barrow. I've never put anything to Barrow that is fundamental in the running of this country. I've never happened. In fact, as foreign minister, I was most of the time out of the country. I was most of the time out of the country. You know, of course, trying to launder Gambia, you know, because our gentleman who was in charge, you know, had really created a very, very bad impression of the Gambia. You know, has dirtied us. So we have to launder the Gambia. You know? And I hope I did what I wanted to do. Or maybe I didn't do all, but I hope I did a little bit of what I wanted to do. Of course, as vice president, if you see the constitutional arrangement, vice president is very much ceremonial. It's very much ceremonial.
Why did you take the job then? When it was given you could have said, well, I'm more effective as a foreign minister than, you know, being taken to a position where I wouldn't be much effective.
Well, you know, you know, if I've never thought of that, but then pointed that, you know, the president, you know, he chooses, you know, in what capacity he wants you to serve in his cabinet. So I couldn't make. It's not in me, or it's not for me to make a choice to say that, well, you have me foreign minister. That's what I want to get me to a more effective ministry. You know? Probably in Jawara's time, vice president had some executive functions, because I think the vice presidents used to carry some other ministers. Like, I think Honorable B. Darboe was vice president as well as Minister of Education. Yes. Yeah? And I think Hassan Musa Kamara was also carried another portfolio. Yeah? So, really, for me, the vice presidency, you know, should really have some executive role. You have some satellite institutions, population, Office of the Population Control, NANA, and all those.
National Disaster Management.
National Disaster Management. Yeah, you have those satellite institutions, you know, under the vice presidency, you know. But then the sort of executive powers that one would think the vice president would have, that, for me, it was non-existent, and I didn't go out to grab it. There were occasions when the president was away, you know, I left for him to take decisions. You know, in this country,
you would contact him. wherever he was in the world.
In fact, I'll contact him. I'll contact him on an issue. I would contact. I'll tell an issue on which I contacted him. You see, the way I was reading the happenings on the political scene and utterances on the political scene, I advised myself that you should be very careful. Otherwise, the allegations that you want to, you are power hungry, you want to do this, you want to do that, is going to stick. So I made sure that I didn't do anything that would appear to be a presidential. That this would take it, that the president would take. I made sure that I didn't do that. Because I knew the forces that were working against me. I knew the destructive forces between us. And any such move, they would say, well, you see, we told you. You see this man, you see what he's doing? He's just too ambitious. He just wants to be president. That's why he's doing this.
Those allegations were made irrespective of you doing your best, apparently, to make sure that they were never made. Because after you left, that was the allegation, that you were undermining his presidency.
That's right. And fortunately for me, nobody has come out to say this is what he has done to undermine the president. I know that he was told that I had a group of people whom I'm propping up, who I want to rely on, and single out Sheriff Gomez as being part of the group. I'm happy that Sheriff Gomez, whom they thought was very much anti-UDP, anti-Barrow, I'm happy today he is doing good services with the security sector reform. I'm really happy about that. But then, he was one of the people pointed out to say, well, you see how much he's doing to undermine you. He has this man there. And I did tell the president that, of course, they should also have told you that this gentleman with the supersonic, that he was also there. He was a classmate, Barrow's classmate, a good friend of Barrow. I said that they should also have told that he was there. But I said, look, we want to utilize every talent in this country. And this is where we can go forward. We should really forget, these differences of that politics. We can't, the active politicians, yes, but those people who were really doing service in other sectors, you cannot really sideline them when they have something to offer. You have to rein in all the talents and make the best use of them. That's what you have to do. What you have to do. And this issue of me running the government, you see, the only, and I think that was even accidental. The only issue which I think is important that the president told me, that it was a decision he had already taken, but he was informed me, was the removal of the Secretary General, Mr. Darboe.
Oh, Habib.
I think it was on a Friday. I went to his office and on a matter of dealing, I think, with the security sector reform, and I left. After I left, then he sent the orderly to come and ask me to go back. I went back and said, well, VP, the Secretary General, I think I should tell you that the Secretary General, I'm relieving him of his position. He says his letter is to be delivered to him by the, I think the Chief of Protocol. So I said, but President, Your Excellency, tomorrow you're supposed to be traveling to China with the FOCAC, the head of your technical team, head of the civil service. If you remove him today and you go to China on the FOCAC, how do you expect that to function effectively? Who is going to lead
the technical discussions?
Who is going to lead the technical discussions? I think if you want to remove him, please, you can do so. But then, wait until you come back from China, and then you can do that. So I was not consulted before decision was taken. But when decision was taken, informed, and this is what I told him. And then he called him Mr. Sise, the chief of protocol, Alaji, and told Alaji, well, this is a public, and my Alaji is hearing me. The president is also, if he's honest, and said, chief of protocol, this is what vice president thinks. And I said, yes, I think he's right.
So Habib survived that day?
Well, yes, until they return from China. So just to show you that I have never been consulted on any major decision.
Did he know going with you to China that his head was on the chopping block?
Well, I don't know whether he knew. But Gambia being what it is, maybe he knew, or he must have suspected. Maybe he knew, he must have suspected. Apart from that, when I was in the foreign ministry, I would things that I would tell him that we should do this. He says, well, I will consult with my technical advisors. And then one of them said, Your Excellency, your principal advisors in this government are your ministers. I said, in Minister of Agriculture, OJ is your principal advisor. You cannot rely on anybody. It's OJ that you have to rely on. And in all other ministries, your ministers are your principal advisors. Of course, the technical team that was talking are the people who are really, dragging me away from UDP. Yeah, and of course they succeeded in dragging me from UDP. But just to say that it is false. I have never been consulted on any major decision taken by Barrow whilst I was in government. The only decisions that I took part in were decisions that were taken at cabinet level. Yeah.
Do you think you would have been most effective as Attorney General and Minister of Justice? Because the rumor one heard after you were pushed out of government was that you were first offered, that Barrow initially wanted you to be his Attorney General and Minister of Justice because of your legal background, but you opted. You chose to become foreign minister. And the reason, again, based on allegations, is that you wanted to go out and connect with the diaspora and strengthen the UDP.
That is, again, is false. Again, that is false. Barrow, the offer he made, is vice president.
That was the initial offer?
Yes, that was the initial offer, vice president.
You could have been his vice president
yes,
Fatmata Tambaya?
Yes, vice president. That was the offer he made. And I said, Your Excellency, thank you, but I am not qualified. And his face dropped. Honestly, his face dropped.
What made you think you were not qualified?
Because the qualifications for presidency is the same as vice president.
On what? On what?
65,
academic?
No, 65 each.
On the basis of age?
On the basis of age. I said I'm not qualified. Because what disqualifies me as a presidential candidate is what disqualifies me as a vice president. Honestly, his face dropped. And he said, I really wanted you to be there so that you would be going to the meetings. He said, in fact, he said, I don't like traveling. He said, I don't like traveling. So you'll be doing this. Where I should be, you go to represent me there. I said, but unfortunately, I cannot. Yeah. And then he had told me, that he had, in fact, when we were having discussions, but Tembedu was somewhere, and he said that Ba was helping a lot around, so he decided to make him Attorney General. I said, that's very good.
You did not choose Ba?
No.
Ba was the president's idea?
In fact, to be quite honest, Peter, I did suggest some names to the president for ministerial appointment, but none of them were appointed. The current Minister for Civil Service Affairs was one of the persons.
Mr. Babukar Mbaibo?
Yes, because I looked at his track record. I was in opposition, but we look at this from that distance. We see these people, we see their performance, we see their attitude to work. you know. And I said I thought he would be a wonderful minister, you know, for higher education. And I thought that, look, Adelaide Sose would be a good minister for basic, is it low and basic education?
Basic and secondary.
Basic and secondary. I said, look, I think these are two good people who would be there. And of course, our Alkali Conte, I said I think he would be a good minister for tourism. You know, and Ibrahim Asila, I said I thought he would be a good press officer for the office of the president.
Not Minister of Information.
Not Minister of Information, okay. You know. But you know, and the suggestions, all the suggestions I made to him for appointments, none of them were. So it's false when they say these things. It is false. It's all try to make me look bad and try to make Barrow a saint, and then I'm the demon that he was giving everything. And didn't I hear one of them say, "No, you're gonna do that like that, you know, so you're going to suffer." But then you know, I realized that, you know, really, in politics, demonizing your opponent, you know, is probably thought to be one of the best things to do for your survival. I mean, giving credit, you know, to your opponent is thought to be really self-destructive, and I don't think it should be. You can still give credit to your opponent for anything that is done. If there's any qualifier, you can qualify it, but you cannot continue demonizing, unless, of course, if your opponent continues to do things that really warrant him being demonized all the time.
You know, the NPP, as you say, would be listening to this keenly.
Yeah.
And hearing you say that demonizing your opposition, you know, for the sake of politics, you know, is not right. They would say, well, that's exactly what the UDP does. The UDP never has, you know, a good word to say about the NPP. How would you respond to that?
Well,
they would say, well, look at all the road infrastructure that we have brought in.
We have said, look here, roads are important.
But do you give them credit for that? Do you say, well, the NPP, they have done well, President Barrow has done well?
We have said yes, roads have been constructed. Yes, you know, this is good for development, but the fundamental things that you have to address first is the living conditions of the people. You want to address the health system adequately. You want to address the education sector, adequately. You want to address the agricultural sector adequately. The human capital, I say, look, build that. And then these others will follow. And of course, you know, the Gambian people should now realize that building roads and so forth is not what the population should really be wanting all the time. So if roads are so important, if bridges are so important, Abdoulaye Wade would never have lost the elections in Senegal. What he did from Dakar to Touba, Macky Sall, the Funjunju, bridge, you know, and other infrastructural development, the stadia, you know, all these are what infrastructure that we see. No, but they are not what really provides for the Senegalese people. And also saying that, no, yes, these roads are good, but they are not what the Gambian people want. But they are crying. If you look through some of the video footages in my tour, a young girl crying, said that they're hungry. A college student coming to say, look, we can't go to our classes regularly because the cost of transportation is prohibitive. $30 is not sufficient. A young woman tells me that I've left school for more than 2 years. I cannot pick up a job. This, you hear them in videos. These are really the basic things that you have to address, and then come onto the roads. Nobody would say that roads cannot, or roads should not be constructed. They should be. It's a question of whether prioritizing.
You mentioned the cost of living. What will the UDP government do about the cost of living? I mean, how would you tackle it? And how is the party using it to its advantage in the build-up to 2026?
Well, you see, the cost of living, we don't talk much about it. It's the ordinary people themselves who talk about it.
Yeah, but shouldn't you be talking about
it? Well,
we should. Because if you come into government and the cost of living has not been solved.
What I'm saying is that we are not using it as a campaign tool. The people themselves have realized it. And what we tell them is, what do we do now to make sure that you have a government that addresses this issue of the cost of living? Look, Peter, I think really if you direct our resources into agriculture, into food production, and I tell people that when you say food production, it's just not rice. I mean, corn, maize, coos, findi. All these should be part of our food security agenda. Rice, yes, is the staple food. But now, with this age of, diabetes, you have to have other types of, food alternative that really assures you that at least you reasonably assures you that you will not, suffer from diabetes. So we need to really invest in agriculture. Now, when I left Janjambure to go to Bansang, I looked on the right-hand side. This huge expanse of rice field. Nothing is happening there. I spent the night in Kuntauru. Huge expanse of rice. Nothing is happening there. I thought that we should really focus more on food production. Let us divert, or let us apply a huge portion of our resources into agriculture, so that we can be food self-sufficient. And I said, look, we should have a program, targeted production, so that every year you target a certain quantity of tonnage of rice, and you gradually, of course, measure it up to your imports, how much you import every year, so that in 5 years, maybe if you do so, in 5 years, you would have graduated to the level that you import every year. And then you could advance so that you can export. Yeah? Nigeria, they eat a lot of rice. And they also need, they're also not self-sufficient in rice. So you can import.
So we could export
you can export to them. This is what you should do. And I did congratulate the government for really the help that is given to Ja oil, and I think this should be encouraged.
Have you been to see his farm?
No, I have not. I have not been because, if I go there, they would not see it. They would think that these politics.
You think he wouldn't let you, into his farms just because he doesn't want to be associated with the opposition?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure that will be. But
should business people take sides? Let me ask you that question. Should business people take sides?
Well,
people say, well, as a businessman, you have to hedge your bets. You have to be seen to support every party.
Well, it is. I think it is only in Gambia that I see business people refusing to take part. In Nigeria, business people take part. Other places, business people take part.
In America, Elon Musk.
Yes, business people take part. You don't take part.
They take sides. I mean,
you support. Yeah. You support the program, even the program that you support. If is that party deviating from the program, you abandon them. Because I've sided you because I believe in this program.
But would you like to visit Ja's farm?
Of course, I would like to visit it. Yeah, but I have personally decided not to, because I do not want anyone to try to say, oh, this man is UDP. Because if I go to visit his power, they would extend to me all the courtesies.
Well, you've been to my radio and nobody is saying I am UDP.
Well,
hopefully.
That is what you think.
That's what I think.
That's what you think. That is what you think.
We're talking to Alhaji Usainu Darboe. We asked our listeners to send in questions, and I have three ones that I want to read to you. Ibrahim Akoli in Spain wants to know what your position on Ecomig, the ECOWAS military intervention force in the Gambia, is. He also wants to know what you think about the dominance of the CFA over the Gambian Dalasi. And last but not least, he wants you to know that he's never voted UDP, but in 2026, he swears he will vote UDP.
Oh.
Ibrahim Akoli in Spain.
Well, Ibrahim, thank you very much for really guaranteeing me a vote in 2026. I thank you very much at that. You see, my view about the dominance of the Dalasi, the CFA against the Dalasi, is because of the weak state of our economy, the weak state of our currency. I hear minister say that because the CFA is pegged up to the euro, and that is why, and our Dalasi is not competing favorably against the CFA. I agree that CFA is pegged to the euro. But you see, Peter, there was a time when CFA was pegged to the French franc, not euro, but to the French franc.
Yes.
And the Dalasi was doing very, very well.
Yes. Yes.
It is because of the lack of fiscal discipline, because of the wastages that we are getting in. That is why our currency is losing value every day against not only CFA but all other major currencies. And it is sad. It is one of the factors that contributes, to this high cost of living in the country. Because if a businessman brings in consignment of rice, and at the time of the purchase of the rice of the consignment, the ratio of the dollar to Dalasi is 50. Now at the time of payment, it now goes to 52. I mean, what do you expect?
Yeah, you will look for an extra $2.
That's right.
For every
That's right. So I mean, we have to do what really it takes to really save the Dalasi. And we cannot really be putting blame on the strength of other currencies, and ignoring our own way of handling the affairs in the country. It's our handling of affairs of the country has contributed to this. Probably, I believe in 1994, the Dalasi would have been a convertible currency if the coup hadn't taken place.
Ah.
Absolutely. If the coup had not taken place, the Dalasi would have been convertible currency. Yeah? In fact, I know that before 1994, you can go with Dalasi to Nigeria and change it to CFA, to Naira. Oh yes, to Naira. So I think the honorable minister really and the central bank, I think they must do more. These very high-falutin statements, it's not what is really going to provide the panacea.
We'll talk more on the economy as we continue this conversation. What's your position on Ecomig? Ibrahima wants to know.
Well, Ecomig, I think Ecomig came in initially to protect the family. Initially, to protect the family. That is why you don't find them in any other place.
When you say family, what do you
that's
mean?
the president. The president and the first family. That's why you don't find them anywhere other than at the State House. So, and the reason for it is that at that time in 1994, it was believed that there were a lot of rogue elements in the Gambian National Army, and particularly and more so in the Presidential Guard. So really, you want to protect the president. You don't want to, and his family, you don't want to put them in a situation where those who owe loyalty, still owe loyalty to the former president, are in control of the institution. So you have to be careful. You cannot compromise that. But 8 years down the line, should that fear still continue to exist? I believe that Ecomig, it's time for Ecomig really. It's time for them to leave. Otherwise, the Gambia government will not go seriously. Will not handle seriously. The security sector reform. Because if they handle this security sector reform, by now, there should be no need for the Ecomig to be here. By now, we will certainly have at least a presidential guard that is very Republican, that do not think that Adama Barrow is that or this particular is that. They will just do their work, as expected of them.
In the 26 months you were in government, was the future of Ecomig ever discussed in cabinet?
No, because that was really the time when this security sector reform was being embarked upon. So it was certainly not. I don't think it would have been appropriate really to discuss whether this would be here or not. But then the concentration on the security sector reform should really have been pursued, with all seriousness.